All right. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Accent Interviews. Joining me as always is JX. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. Excited to be here.
Absolutely, myself as well. Tonight we have our guest Charm. How do you pronounce it?
I think
Charmander?
just Char. I think it's easier, but it's basically a combination of my favorite Pokemon and then my name is Eric, so it's Charmander Eric kind of combined.
Ah,
Oh, okay. Very nice. Yeah, so what kind of got you into playing MCOC and what kind of got you involved with Twitter and stuff?
Well, I think that the game I just had a personal preference for fighting games and some sports games. Um, and I didn't really play any mobile games before I must have tried Angry Birds when it was really popular for a little while, but I didn't really get much into it. And I think when it released, I was still traveling a little bit for work. I downloaded the game probably around February of 2015, so not right when it launched. And then I didn't really start playing until probably August of 2015, so roughly a year behind everybody else. And I just thought it was really cool, the fighting mechanics, the characters. And I think when I joined, or when I really started playing back again, it was when they were having the Moon Knight monthly quest.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice.
And then as far as Twitter goes, I think it was also just a happy accident, but mostly I think it was influenced by Cat Murdoch's the Monday mashup, because I think I joined around the time of the pandemic starting, and then I
Okay.
joined mostly to kind of stay up to speed on her art, and then stayed, and then started to kind of expand and follow some of the content creators. I think B McG was one of the first ones that I followed, and then from there I just expanded.
Very nice. Yeah. It seems like you've been around the community quite a bit and sharing some advice, and it also seems like you've been around since the beginning. So, who are some of your favorite characters?
I really enjoy playing with Tigra. Um, I have, a weird love for Jubilee as well. She's a complex character, but she's really fun. I think her animations and, she's very underrated. She's just a really fun character and keeps the game kind of dynamic. Um, I think that as far as like, my most recent champions, obviously I my first rank 5 was Spot. From the time that he was, showcased, I already thought that his play style was really cool, and different from just the norm of just nuking fights. You have to have some ramp up, and I tend to like the rad damage champions, the burst champions. So he fit right in with me. So those are some of the favorite champions that I have right now. And as far as the newest champions this year, one that I'm looking forward the most to get in the next featured is probably Kate Bishop.
Okay. Kate Bishop, cool.
hmm
Um, so you mentioned Jubilee and how she keeps the game dynamic. What are some things you like about Jubilee?
Well, she has utility. The only downside to her is that you kind of have to compromise on the damage to, use her to the full potential of her utility. But it's just fun, seeing the damage. And especially if you have good RNG with the crits, she's going to put up, very impressive numbers. And her play style can be, high maintenance in terms of knowing which phase you're in and which fireworks you have on. But mostly for a lot of fights, I just stick to the orange fireworks, and then you can just do the loop of getting 12 prowess and then throwing the special two. And when it crits, especially if it crits all three hits, which doesn't happen too often, then you'll see some insane numbers. So I just think it's really fun, and just I think the audio that comes with the actual sound of fireworks, it's really interesting. I normally play her with sound on, and most of the other fights I keep it on mute.
Very nice. Jay, you got one over there?
I just wanted to say that's so cool. I've never heard someone say like they turn the sound on for a certain character. That's cool. I usually turn it off for Howard the Duck. Let's just
Right.
absolutely. Okay, well, you answered one of my questions, which is always like, how'd you get your name? So that's pretty cool. I never noticed that your name is obviously Charmander, but Eric at the end. I just thought it was like playing with the name Charmander. That's a cool detail.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right. A question, and one of my favorites is like, if you could add one character to the contest, who would it be?
I don't know if we're going to touch base on the Summoner's Choice later, so I'll probably save that for later. But
We will.
probably one of the characters that I like, I'd like to see, just because he was a really fun character in the MCU. I'd love to see Mr. Knight added to the game.
Mystique, you said?
No, Mr. Knight from
Oh,
Moon Knight.
Mr. Knight. Okay, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Sorry, my headphones. I couldn't hear you for a second. Yeah, he's cool. I love Moon Knight. Which is it'd be interesting if they do a different Moon Knight. Like, it's so cool that we have the one in game, but it's like kind of like, I don't know. It's like an older style of Moon Knight from the comics around 2015.
Right. It would be pretty sweet if around the time that they decide to buff Moon Knight that they would bring Mr. Knight along. And even if they could do something with the special 3 animation to show the suit of Moon Knight from the show, that was probably one of the best suits that we've ever had in the MCU. So it would be pretty cool to see that detail
Yeah.
coming to the game.
Yeah. Do you think they would bring in the more comic version or the MCU version of Mr. Knight?
Well, if they decide to stick with what they did for Moon Knight already, I'll probably say that they are going to focus more on the comic version and not as much as a comic relief character from the show. But I would love to see the MCU suit because I just thought it was so sleek and nice looking, and I think it would fit in nicely with some of the animations that we have in the contest today.
Okay. Yeah, so is there a certain champion that you would like to see buffed?
Hmm. Um, I would like to see Jubilee be simplified a little bit. But other than that, probably the Captain America World War II. He was a really reliable character when I first started playing the game with a perfect block. And one of my favorite aspects of the game is Alliance War. And I remember back then with a 4-star, I think it was Beth 7, that there were some fights that they were stun immune. You could just use him and block for days, and he wouldn't take barely any damage. So I think that seeing his potential beyond just being a tanky, good blocking character, if he could have some utility and the damage increased, that would be really cool for Captain America.
Okay. So what do you mean? What did you exactly mean by with Jubilee?
Well, I think that for her, you kind of have to trade off the damage for the utility. So if there was a way for you to have both aspects and not just focus on one, I think like in comparison, Betsy, Captain Britain, she has a good mix of the damage plus the utility against the purifiers. Something along those lines, I think it would be beneficial for her and make people invest more time into her. But I think also managing her phases via the pre-fight without having to throw away all the utility, I think that would also be cool.
Okay. Very nice. You got another one over there, Jay?
Yeah, I'll add on to that real quick. I definitely see that with Jubilee. It would be cool, because Dragon, helped create Jubilee. If they would ask her to come back and help with the buff process, that would be. We haven't seen that yet. We've seen characters like with content creators, the Royal, Red Goblin, and BG, but those characters haven't really got a buff, at least in the sense of kits. So for Jubilee to do it with Dragon in a buff and have her in the process would be pretty sweet. Just saying, Kabam.
Yeah, she definitely is the one that has a lot of content out there, and I just saw that she posted today that she took her to rank 5.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
definitely jealous.
um, so what is your progression in game right now?
I have pretty much everything completed. Eternity of Pain, Abyss, all the Karina challenges, and then 8.2, I have like 5.5 bats left on the last two chapters.
Okay, very nice. So what have you found anything difficult about 8.2 so far?
Definitely understanding and remembering all the mechanics of the boss. There have been a couple bats that were kind of like you had to build a good team around it, and then maybe only have one option and not a backup for the dynamic bosses at the end. So maybe you had to bring an extra synergy to accommodate for that. But I think overall the difficulties it's up to speed to what we saw in 8.1, but the boss is definitely a little harder than Saitella's was.
Okay. Um, are you using a lot of revives through this content?
I think on the pass I've used a handful, and then on the boss the first time I used probably 10, and then the second time I got most of the first, second, and third phase done with Kingpin, and then I died with like 5% left. And then
Oh
the
wow.
second
Dang.
go around, I probably also had to use a couple revives.
Okay. So is the apothecary and the 22-hour solo events, are those helping out with the revives at least?
I think more so the daily events, the 22-hour ones, because
Uh-huh.
that's the 40% one, and I had probably roughly 250 to 300 free crystals. So those help with, just getting the potions and then topping up the health for my champions before I go back in, especially for the final boss.
Yeah,
Um,
you're talking about like the daily crystals and stuff.
yeah, the free ones.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that I did the apothecary when it first came out, and I was like, this is just kind of, didn't feel. I don't know if they already buffed it to put it at 40%, for example, or if it's still the 20%. But when it first came out, I think I was well into overflow, so I didn't really pay much attention to it. So I started just building up my stash for the 40% ones, which I was sitting at close to 25 just before I started the 8.2 exploration.
Okay. Very nice. Jay, you got another question over there.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your YouTube channel. Is that
Mhm.
something you're still focusing on doing? I know you got some like war content on there.
Yeah, I really haven't posting anything for almost 2 years now. Um, Similar to MP Blaze when he mentioned last week why he started the channel. It was at the time I was an officer. I think I was to AGTG Graphite when I started posting, and then I had joined New Nation, and that's where I met MP Blaze. Um, and I was mostly posting it so that I kind of had a record of, hey, if I assign this fight to someone else other than me, this is how you would approach and the strategy for that fight. Because I enjoy that part of Alliance War of strategizing, having a backup plan in case the fight doesn't go your way, and understanding the boosts that go into that for you to be successful in soloing the fights. So that's why I started the channel, and then it was kind of fun for a while. But then, part of the reason that I stepped out from New Nation is that, I had a lot of new responsibilities at work, and I had to step aside from being an officer at the time and a planner. And then I also kind of dropped the channel and haven't really picked up anything on that. I still record all my fights, but I just haven't really posted anything.
Okay.
Um, so you mentioned you're in new you've been in New Nation. Are you still in like a top tier War Alliance?
Yeah, I'm in the same one as MP Blaze. So after I
Okay.
left New Nation, I went to X5V, and then I stayed there for almost a year. I had a bunch of friends in there. And then a couple of seasons ago, I joined SSX1, and last season we finished top 10, and this season we are have a good shot at top 20, and depending on the results of the current war and the next war, we could still reach top 10 again this season. But they're definitely a master top 45 Alliance Quest. I think they're top 60 battlegrounds.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a high tier alliance for sure.
Very nice. So are you just a member or are you an officer?
I'm a member.
Okay.
Probably when they change the system that you have the set and forget, I might, step in and help with some questions or suggestions if they ever ask me.
Okay.
But things have not really slowed down at work for me yet, so it's not something that I can really focus on the current way that it's set up, that you only have 24 hours to attack, and then you don't see the map until the go live for that war, and then it's kind of like rushed, trying to make the decisions. So that's something that puts a lot of stress and responsibility on the person that's planning, and also ensuring that people are following the plans, that you're available to answer the questions, similar to how MP Play is described. It can be a lot for stress purposes within the game and also your own mental health, you feel kind of responsible if you send somebody to a fight that they are not going to have all the tools to succeed. So it can be really difficult to manage that.
Yeah. Especially with 7 stars coming.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we see a lot of rank fives already, like pretty much in most of the alliances that we face. Obviously, the standard is mostly rank four, uh, probably a couple of rank threes that we've seen, but it's rank
Mhm.
four and above, So when 7 stars drop, some of the annoying defenders that are on that pool are also going to be challenging. I still use a lot of rank three attackers for myself, so I definitely need to do some investment and grow my roster so that I can keep up with the new challenge.
Yeah, I've only got 2 rank 4s right now, and my gold one alliance. I think our boss island may be rank 4s, but we're still like rank 3s and up.
Hmm.
Um, what about you, Jay?
I just got my third rank 4 actually the other
Oh,
day.
did
Nice.
you?
Yeah,
Nice.
I did Shang-Chi, so I'm pretty happy.
Oh yeah, he's
Heck
really
yeah.
nice. I've
Yeah.
used him a lot for 8.2 so far.
Yeah, I've heard he's really good. That's why I was like, okay, I'm doing him. I like him. I like his play style, and I'm just running through X7, just trying to hurry up and finish Paragon. That's what I'm
Yeah.
Nice.
trying to catch
Where
up.
are you at?
Going through 7-3 right now.
Okay. Same. I just finished 732. So
Yeah, nice. So literally on the same thing.
okay.
So perfect.
Okay. Yep. Trying to get to that Paragon. We got to get those Paragon crystals, bro.
Yeah,
It's a
definitely.
trap.
Yeah. Um. So are 7 stars something you're looking forward to, or something you're scared for going into the new war season?
When they were first announced, I was like, well, we don't even have access to the rank fives. I think it's a little bit rushed. But then as, they laid out the plan saying that would be months into spring this year, then that eased up my anxiety a little bit with 7 stars. I don't think that it will change too much, especially because a lot of the defenders might rely a lot on the high signature ability, and that's not something that we're going to see with the 7 stars. But I think from what I've heard, their I guess stats for attack and HP are going to be similar or a little better than the rank fours. But when we start to see the rank 2 7 stars, then that definitely is going to change a lot the outlook of defense and making sure that you have attackers that can keep up with that. Because I would think that the rank 3 6 stars would be comparable to the rank 5 5 stars today. That it takes a lot of effort to take down like a rank 4 6 star with a 5 star.
Absolutely. Is there anyone you're like specifically looking for in the pool?
I think Sunspot He's probably one of my favorites. I'm Brazilian, so I think that he's a good representation of the capoeira, that fighting style. And he's a really fun champion. I think when he was really kind of like top tier for the prestige on the 6 stars, I think up to rank threes. I was really excited to get him and learn him. I had used him in Alliance War Attack a few times. He's a really good Nick Fury counter, and especially at the time, a lot of alliances were placing him either on, I think it was the Mixed Master node, I think it was the old node 22, or the Stunning Reflection, the node 53, and he does pretty well on both of those.
Very nice. Is there a champion that you're scared to fight of? 6, 7-star.
Probably when Domino gets really high seg, either at unduped or low segs, it's not going to hurt as much, but she's just a really annoying broken champion. It's hard to manage. I would think that Bishop, prior to Infamous Iron Man being introduced, was challenging, but I think that if you prepare well, like in Alliance War, it might be easier to counter him, but like in Battlegrounds, if you don't have a right counter, then probably Bishop as a 7-star would be very intimidating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
He
for
scares
sure.
me.
I every time I see Bishop, even though I have him in my deck, I'm still half tempted to ban him.
I just finally pulled a 6-star like 3 weeks ago, and then I awakened him and then dumped a lot of stones, and then 7 stars were announced and he's in the pool. So I was like, So I let him stay at rank 2 for now as a 6-star until I open my 7 stars. I think I'll be able to open the 2 crystals that will be sold at 10,000 shards, and then I'll have either one more, depending on how many more shards I get from opening my 6-star featured. Then I might have another 1 or 2.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, so far if we can open 2 at 10K, I think I can open 1.
Yeah,
I'm at
same.
like 16K right now.
It will come in due time.
Yeah.
Got what?
No, but
2 weeks? Couple weeks.
Yeah. So if I finish Act 7, I should be in shape to open up a couple.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the Bauble store as well. You can get some 7-star shards there.
Yeah. Speaking of the Bauble store, has anybody done anything with the Bauble store? Have you looked at the store or the unit store at all?
I got one. I think it was the bundle 8, the one that has the 25% T6cc, the class catalyst. I got all of those, and then I'm right now grinding to get the rest to buy the bundle. I think it's the 13, the one that has the 2019 through 2021 champion, and then a choice of a full tier 6 class catalyst. But other than that, I'm not going to invest much more into it. I have some vacation and time off planned ahead, so I need to be diligent with my spending.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Jay?
Oh, for the store?
Yeah.
I bought, so I spent some on the tier 6 just to get the basic, just to get Shang-Chi to rank 4. And now I'm just saving because I'm going to try to get Paragon with the next couple of days, just beating Act 7, and I'll see what the new deals for Paragon deals are going to be.
Okay.
They're pretty crazy.
Nice.
Yeah. That's why I'm saving. I'm like, I'm just got to do X7-3 and 7-4, and we'll be there. Do that in 12 days.
Are they going to reset similar to how it does for, I think it's the 4th of July, or did you have to already beat Paragon before the sale went live?
That's a good question. I don't actually have the answer for.
I do not know.
Yeah, I'll look it up actually. That's a good point.
I think they normally send a message in game saying, "Hey, if you're close to being in the next progression, make sure that you do that push now."
That's true.
So I'm not sure if it's going to change for you.
I would assume with the calendar, it's probably not going to change because those are usually once the calendar starts, it's set.
Yeah.
But
All right. You're right. So I checked the mail and it says be aware before you buy, the next progression level will unlock higher levels offered, but you won't be able to get more bubble once you purchase them. Um, Actually, that doesn't really say it. Hold on.
So I think it's just the bubble is locked, but then you'll be able to see the refreshed um the other store maybe.
the newer store, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Well, if you're close to Paragon, buy you up some deals. Get you to Paragon.
Yeah.
Or you'll be all set for 4th of July when that comes around.
Yeah.
Right.
Worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Hammy says he's pretty sure it updates. It seems like it does. Okay.
Okay.
That was just weird reading it. Hammy actually has a question. He said, "So you've done warp planning. Can you talk about the process for that, like the tools you've used and the time it takes, etc.?"
It would really depend on some alliances. You tend to see a lot of the repeat placements in the top tiers because people want to get, the most stats out of the map so that they can win the wars. So it kind of becomes second nature once you see, for example, Ebony Maw on node 22 now, I think it's the one that has root. So you know that Overseer is going to succeed there, and Torch can, if everything goes according to plan, he can handle that fight well, but then Bubble Shield can kind of get in the way. So I think a lot of that, in terms of the time and the effort, would depend on how off the curve those alliance placements would be. Some alliances would intentionally just put odd placements, odd bosses, mini boss islands, just so that it would make it stressful for whoever is planning to, put the puzzle together. Another thing that tends to make it difficult is what they call the path splitting, so that they put, for example, a domino on a path that she doesn't really benefit from the nodes, but then they put another defender that's going to benefit from that, so that you have to have the counters for that domino and the other defender, so that can make it difficult. And sometimes you have to double up or have a less optimal counter to that path. But normally it would take a couple hours at least in some maps for me to plan. And then basically, I think the format that I followed is that at the time, I think we were still doing at New Nation some of the boss rush. So I would start backwards, planning from the boss, the mini boss island, and then we used to do for a little while the boss rush. So we would pick like either paths 1 through path 3 or path 7 through path 9, one of the islands, and then we would send 3 or 4 people to kind of rush that section and then get to the boss and clear the boss so that we wouldn't have the defense tactic. So you kind of have to plan backwards from there, who are the people that are going to rush, and then from there you have to basically keep track of the champions that people are most comfortable with, and then based on what's being placed on defense and how the map looks. But it was kind of like basically a puzzle that you have this piece that comes together, and then maybe this person who's not comfortable with this fight, after you send the video for reference, they're still not comfortable, then you have to shuffle some things around, and that can add up the time for planning.
Yeah. So, would you be excited for these new war changes, like you were talking about earlier, to make it easier for to plan war, to give a little bit more time, and
Oh
to not
yeah.
have your defenders locked up?
Yeah, I think that will be a huge quality of life improvement for somebody that likes war. I think that's going to be excellent for you to have your champions available to use in quests. Like I have Spot on defense, and I only get to use him for like a short window during the week if he's not placed.
Right.
So that will be nice for me to be able to test him more in some of the story content and side quests and such. But I think just the overall opening that window up so that you don't have to be laser focused for like a couple of hours, and then there you're going to have some mistakes and things that you're not going to catch because you have such a short window to get the plan out, because then you have time zones, you have people that are going to have kids that they need to take care of, or work schedules. So you can't wait, 8 hours to get a plan out. And with the new changes, you're going to have more time to carefully review the plan, run it by other people, other officers that might help, check that everything looks correct. So I think it's going to be excellent to allow more time for people that are heavily involved into that planning process.
Yeah, I agree. Right now, I feel like I'm making my officer's job a nightmare. The past couple wars, they've been putting Omega Sentinel on Node 24, and I just every time I use Gallon, man, she auto blocks me and combos me to death,
Yeah.
and it's just no fun.
Yeah, I
But
haven't faced her there yet, but I think that Gallon is a good counter for that node specifically. Um, but yeah, I think the other thing too that I think it was just starting when I was still doing the planning is the bans. We definitely didn't have the blacklist and whitelist. I think it was just either the 2 champions or the 3 champions that were banned.
right,
So that also added an extra layer of difficulty because a lot of alliances in the past would rely on, the heavy hitters, let's say Quake or Magic or Hercules now.
Hercules, yeah,
So, you kind of have to not use those champions. And then I feel like the defense tactics and the attack tactics are adding a lot of good dynamics to the game so that you're not only using those broken, god tier champions and that you're diversifying. For example, I didn't use Diablo too much in previous seasons, and this season I've used him quite a lot because he has a really good kit, and with that subdue tactic, it helps him a lot too for some of the annoying cosmic champions.
very nice. You got another one over there, Jay?
Absolutely. Quake isn't broke. She's not even a 6-star. Come on, boo.
Yeah. You know what? I know there's a teammate of mine that uses Quake every war, right? Every war, lane 2, right up the middle, and now this war they banned her.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't know what she's gonna do.
I mean, I commend the people that mastered her. I've learned her enough to some of the content when she was, the best option. Like when the Gauntlet first came out, I didn't really have a lot of rank 3 or even rank 4s at the time, so I used her as a 5-star to do like Weapon X and I think Korg. I don't remember what other champions, but I had to, struggle through that, and I'm not a good Quaker champion. I think the problem with her, obviously she's a really good champion, but it puts people into a comfort zone per se, that they're not going to really pay too much attention into that champion, the defender, because she can just avoid everything about them, as long as they don't counter evade or that they can kind of like cap the damage that she has from the aftershock, then they're just going to just do the rinse and repeat every month for the event quest or new champions that are being added into Alliance War, for example. So she's a really good, reliable champion for people that know how to use her. It's just that for me, it wouldn't match what I want to get out of the game and the enjoyment that I see out of the game. But obviously that hits the box for a lot of people out there that love Quake.
Yeah. What else you got over there, Jay?
I wanted to say, you guys excited for Guardians Volume 3? It comes out in 2 weeks.
I sure am, but I won't be able to watch on the first week that it comes out because I'll be on vacation. So hopefully I don't get any spoilers in that time frame.
Ooh, start muting words everywhere.
Right. I'll probably just delete Twitter altogether for a couple weeks.
YouTube's the worst one, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, I don't check YouTube too much these days.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean we're getting 2 characters, obviously, or we're always getting 2 characters, but hopefully 2 characters with the movie. So I'm curious if are you looking forward to? Because I think it's Adam Warlock and High Evolutionary. are you looking forward to characters, or do you want like someone else?
I'll probably say high evolutionary if he comes, and if he's attack, I think that would be really good. And I think that we've had a good amount of tag champions that came out this year that they are, pretty solid. So it would be nice because the attack class can be really hit or miss. So I think that they're balancing that out quite well and adding a variety of utility and a good balance between damage and utility. So I think if he comes and if he's attack champion, that would help improve that attack class. Because I remember when, the EOP rewards came out and people were pulling tag gems. Some were not happy to pull that because you only had so many options, and I feel like this year those options expanded quite a lot.
Yeah.
So is there, since you've been around for so long, is there a type of content that you would bring back? Like a EQ or the maze or something like that?
Hmm. Uh, I like the rifts. The only downside to that are, the RNG aspect. That you would have some people that would get a lot of good rewards, and if you had bad luck, you wouldn't get it. But I think the last iteration that they did of the rifts, it had the guaranteed path that you could at least select. So it was nice because you could get lucky and get a bunch of good rewards. But then you could also guarantee, say, 6-star gem, for example. But yeah, I like the rifts.
Okay. Um,
Oh, that just made me think.
what else?
Uh,
What do you got over there, Jay?
yeah, that made me think because speaking of rifts and side quests that we've had, since June is supposed to be an X-Men event, I really wonder. You think they bring back Mutant Treasure Island? I don't
That
know.
would
That
be
would be
sick.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was
I,
just
I
I was trying to think like that. That would be something. If not, could do like Krakoa rifts or something.
yeah, that would be super cool.
So the overarching characters behind the side quests this year have been Mojo, Gwenpool, and who else? And then now we had the saves this year or this month that we did for the Sinister Six, right?
Yeah, yeah, because we had Mojo back to back, and then we
And we
had
had the Sentinel, I think the Valentine's one, or was that the Mojo as well?
it was Mojo as well,
Okay.
and then we had last month, and then we had this month, and then I don't know what they're gonna do next month for the MCU one. That'll be interesting. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean maybe they do like high evolutionary like.
Do you think they would do another Rocket Scrapyard?
Uh, no, I wouldn't think so. Just because how close we are from the last one.
Okay. Trying to think. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hard one. You never know what we're gonna do, especially like when it's side quests. I mean, they got some talent designers, and they'll come up with something good, and hopefully something new. I'd really want something new that really captivates players. That'd be really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe something with the Ravagers and Yondu.
Yeah,
That would probably be cool.
What did you guys think of the incursions side quest last month?
I loved the concept and especially the permanent hacks that you could get. But I really had a really bad RNG with some of the defenders, and I had like some of the really annoying nodes, like fisticuffs. I had Icarus for quite a few. So I cut close on not finishing for a bunch, and I leaned heavy into Hercules to complete that. But I think it was a good addition because then you had um, the I think I did the solo one, not with the partner, because then you could stack up the 4 options, and I think that with the hacks the combination was really insane and nice, especially for Hercules. But I know that a lot of people also did it, not using Hercules as much.
Okay. What do you think about this month's side event? So this one seemed pretty easy.
Yeah, it is. It is easy. I just feel like there's quite a lot of fights, so it can be time consuming because the health pools are not, super small. But it's nice the RPG aspect of it. The nodes kind of have the recurring themes, and you can bring the champions that will counter those nodes. So it's really nice to practice some new champions. For example, I tend to, as soon as I pull a new champion, use them a lot so that I can kind of learn the kit. So for example, I just pulled Hulkling yesterday from, I think it was the Abyss Nexus crystal, and I've already used him a few times in 8.2 to learn his kit. I've seen plenty of videos of him in Alliance War, for example, but then getting to use him and adapting the playstyle if something goes wrong. Um, I tend to use that as strategy when I pull a new champion to use them heavily for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah. Hulkling and Gallon are my boys in war.
Yeah.
I brought
For
Hulkling
sure.
for this war.
Very nice. Yeah, they're power drain immune and nullify immune, so that's a good thing. Um, yeah. What else you got over there, Jay?
Nice. I wanted to. You mentioned who did buff, but are there any favorite buff characters that you've really enjoyed, maybe this year or last year?
You have that graphic handy?
I do. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
already forgot who was buffed.
It's okay. Okay, all right, cool. There you
Let me see. This is going to be very corny, but I really like America Chavez. She was already good before the buff. It was just kind of laborious to get her fully ramped up. So, buff heavy, like Cosmic Champion, she's gonna have a great time going through those fights. Um, I recently ranked Murdo, and I really like his kit. His damage is there, and he has a lot of utility, especially for also dealing with the buff champions, the cosmic champions, in a different way for his unique, damage on the SP2. Um, what else? And then Diablo, I've used him quite a few in Alliance War recently. I didn't really use him a lot before the buff, so he was a champion that was significantly better after the buff, and you know, he's very reliable. I don't normally like to use the recoil masteries, so in some situations I tend to not go to Diablo as my first option, um, especially for the poison one. But he's a really reliable and fun champion as well, especially, if you can get the special 3 and then keep spamming the special 2 and special 1 after the SP3, then the damage is going to be insane.
Mhm. Yeah. Diablo is one of like the first champions I kind of duped as a 6 star, and after his buff, I kind of ranked him up to rank 2, and that's kind of where he sat until I get him fully sigged up, I think.
Hmm.
go. He's great. I have mine ranked 3. He was one of my earlier ranked 3s, and he's been killing it.
And I
Very
think
nice.
that Hawkeye, he's really cool. I like the perfect release mechanic, and it's even better after Kate was released. The only downside is like in some of the Alliance War matches, you're going to have to deal with willpower, because of the amount of debuffs that he places. But for like story content, he's pretty reliable. I think there was an entire lane that I used him on the Bahamut map. I think it's the middle left path that benefits skilled champions a lot. I pretty much cleared that entire path with Hawkeye. Um, and probably for the upcoming ones, I'm looking forward the most to Iceman because I used to love using him as a 5 star when he was, the top of the meta. So I'm excited to see the the additional potential that will be added to his damage. He already had the utility, so the damage is going to be nice along with that.
Yeah, Iceman, I just awakened him as a 6 star, and he was one of like the first 4 stars I got. And yeah, I used him until the wheels fell off, you know.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, he's definitely like one of the OG characters that I liked.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember when Mysterio first came out as well. I used him a lot because there was a lane in Alliance War that had inverted controls, so I brought the Emma Synergy along, and I had pulled I think Mysterio from one of those pre-release bundles, and I used him quite a lot there because he has a good damage after the special 3. Um, so it'd be nice if you got some sort of value tune-up. I know that he has the penny synergy that's really, really good, but aside from rely on the synergies, it would be cool if he got some love as well.
yeah.
And
Okay,
I
cool.
think he's on the 7-star pool as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yep.
has
So is
probably
America
80%
Chavez.
buffed. Yeah, probably 80% of the buffed champions are there.
Yeah. But that's cool though. Like, I mean, it's good to see like those champions back in rotation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What about the AQ changes? I didn't think we talked about those yet. The 4 day cycle AQ.
Oh, yeah. I think that would be huge because AQ is a chore. The rewards are nice to have, but I just feel like it's repetitive. I use the opportunity for AQ to kind of stay up to speed into the skills. So like I use Tigra a lot on my lane because it plays nice with her. It's the power shield one in section 2, and then there's the in section 1 and 3. It's the one that has the steady perseverance. So she does well in those fights. But other than that, it's pretty repetitive and it feels like a chore more than anything.
Hmm. Okay. You got anything else over there, Jay?
MK says, with the possible post like with Zemo and Zorgman, because we got Mantis and Jessica, and Mantis is getting a buff at the beginning of this month. The beginning of next month, we'll find out if Zemo or Zorgman are getting tune-ups. Do you think they're gonna get any, or do you think they're gonna be fine the way they are?
I think Simo is. I haven't watched a lot of the videos, but I see a lot of people already getting into his potential
Mm-hmm.
and the Zemo lock that they're calling. So I think that's pretty cool, and I think he's a balanced champion as soon as you get to that rotation. And Absorbing Man, he's insane against the optimal matchups, with the armor breakers and the champions that are triggering his immunities. So I think on the other fights, he's going to take some time to ramp up, and you know, it really benefits the people that know how to do the light intercept. Um, so I don't know. I don't think that he's going to be tuned up, higher than he already is. If anything, there would be some adjustments to some of the damage output, but I don't think he's going to get nerfed. I hope he doesn't. I have
Yeah.
a rank 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think they're both fine the way they are, especially at Z and Zemo. I was watching Karate Mike do an act 8 with Zemo, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, both of them are pretty annoying on defense too, that you have to have the correct counter.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, for Absorbing Man, you have the ability to turn off the mechanic for regen, but it comes around only so often. So like in Battlegrounds, if you don't have a good counter for Absorbing Man, it's going to be a really long fight, and it could make you lose that round. So, I don't know if there would be any tune-ups in that sense for defense, but I think he's still a good champion overall. That I think he's just going to stay as is.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing if they change anything because it seems like both champions really just seem fine as is.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
Agreed.
they're dual threats on attack and defense.
Masters of Evil, too good.
yeah, for sure. DLL knocked Absorbing Man out of the park, man. I'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you what.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice, and being here in the same alliance as him, I see some of the content. We're not in the same battle group, but I see some of the content that's posted. And then there's a rank 5 Absorbing Man in my BG, and he demolishes the defenders that are the armor breakers and the immunity ones. So he's a really, really good champion. It's kind of sad that I don't get to use him as much because mine is on defense. But it's nice to see how he's used in Alliance War, and he's definitely a good meta champion that is here to stay,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Yeah, I'll be excited to see if they announce another buff, like an older champion buff.
Yeah, I've seen that pattern where if the two characters are fine, they'll pick an older champion to do, like Hulk and Spider-Man. So
Maybe Black Panther Civil War.
finally, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Or maybe Sentry. Who knows?
Ooh, yeah.
Another
Sentry's
character
on the back burner.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's some really good old champs too, or really bad old champs that I'd like you said, Captain America World War II, like you mentioned earlier, like that'd be sweet.
Right.
The classic Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, like, come on, that'd be cool, and especially like if they did Miss Marvel. Obviously not.
Well, they both have the same moves, don't they?
Yeah. I when I said Miss Marvel, I meant Miss Marvel and classic.
Kamala Khan.
Yeah, I meant both.
Oh,
yeah.
The other. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, at least for the Kamala Khan, they could like plan it for the Marvel's release in November. I mean, it's miles away, but plenty of time to plan a buff, like we've seen with Jane Foster with Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I think that one and Hawkeye were the only ones that coincided with the show, right?
Yeah, Falcon was pretty close to the original date of Falcon Winter Soldier, so I kind of count that too, but it's not on the nose as Hawkeye and Mordo buff as well was with Multiverse of Madness.
Strange, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, there's a pattern though.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else from chat, or is there anything you'd like to plug, Charmander?
No, not really. I appreciate the invite here. It's always nice getting to know more of the content creators out there, and getting to put more context to the people that you just see posting videos and posting brief messages on Twitter. So I appreciate the opportunity here and getting to talk with you guys and kind of share some of my experience with the game too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks again for coming by and chatting with us. Jay, you got anything else before we leave?
Ernest asked, has there been any specifics on the 7-star event coming up mentioned on the last Kabam Twitch stream? I don't know what it means because I actually missed the end of the last Twitch stream.
There's supposed to be a calendar, and I believe that's it. I don't know.
Okay.
There's a special calendar for different tiered progression levels.
Okay, well, I don't think there's any.
That's why they were pushing. That's why they were pushing people to get to Paragon.
Gotcha. Cool. All right.
Because there's supposed to be like Paragon crystals in that calendar or something. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Boo asked real quick. He says, "Are there any Brazilian heroes or villains that you'd want to be added?"
I don't really know much of the Brazilian heroes besides Sunspot. The only Brazilian hero that I think of is outside of Marvel, Blanca from Street Fighter. But
Nice.
yeah, I'll have to do more research on that. I think that there is a few more heroes out there, but I think they did a great job with Sunspot, kind of reflecting his personality of being that rich, spoiled guy that likes to fight, so they knocked that out of the park, and I was pretty bummed that I think that they had an event for Carnival earlier this year.
Yeah.
That if you're located in Brazil, or at least if your story is set to Brazil, you would get that profile picture, and I missed out because I live in the US, so I have my store set to here, so I didn't get that profile picture.
I thought about getting a VPN just to get that profile.
Right.
It was so
Somebody
cool.
said that, but then I only realized that was happening on the day that the profile picture was given out, so I would have already missed,
Yeah.
whatever days. I think there was an entire week worth of calendar counts to earn the picture.
Oh, really? Dang. It sucks you missed out.
Yeah, but it's nice that was made, and hopefully that serves as an inspiration for other cultures. And I've seen also people asking for more representation. It's really nice to see that coming to the contest, with Asian representation, LGBT. Hopefully some of the Native American comes
Oh yes.
soon. So it's nice.
Kabam! If you're listening, put that profile picture back in the store.
Yeah, I would pay 500 units for that one. I never bought one of those 500 unit, the one that have the purple
Yeah.
borders.
Yeah.
But for Sunspot, I would definitely cave in and buy that one.
Cool. There is a
Okay.
purple border of Sunspot.
Yeah, but the other one is just like super slick with the little confetti and
Yeah.
the Brazilian flag.
It looks cool. I totally would have got it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us in chat. I want to thank Jay for streaming us live on YouTube, and thanks again to our humbled guest, Charmander Eric, for joining us this evening. And yeah, have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.